Hi everyone, I'm Kimberly Keen. I'm your Miss Alaska Earth 2021, and this is my interview with the Pageant Project.
Hello, everyone. It's Adrian from the Pageant Project with you. My special guest for today is Kimberly Keen, who is Miss Alaska Earth USA. Kimberly, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks Adrian, and I'm really excited to be here, so thanks for having me.
Of course. Whereabouts are you coming to us from? I always like to ask.
I am in San Diego, California.
That is Marissa's stomping grounds. I know from watching some of your interviews and seeing some of the photos that you've volunteered with Marissa a few times, haven't you? Her organization.
I have. Yeah, I did. So, yeah, this was during this past year. If your viewers aren't aware, she is the founder of the nonprofit We Clean Trails. So every Saturday morning, she goes out to a local trail in San Diego with a group of volunteers. And we use the Garbo Grabber, which is an awesome invention from the Clean Earth Project. I absolutely love it. Very easy to pick up trash that way. And we clean up trails and public parks, and it's been great. It's a really nice way to spend Saturday mornings. And so I've been fortunate enough that, me and Marissa live in the same area and I've been able to help her out. So it's been really fun.
What is the Garbo Grabber? Because Marissa released her book. I was helping her get it published, and I was briefly looking through it. It's a children's book for those of you who don't know. So I quickly looked at it, and I saw that she had the Garbo Grabber, I think, at the end of her book. But there wasn't really a photo. I think it was just an illustration. What is it? Is it like a claw? Is it something else?
Yeah, it's a couple of things. It's a rim. So it's like a plastic rim, and then you put the trash bag in it and you kind of secure it there. And then the grabber it is like a claw. It's an extendable, I don't even know what you call it, like an extendable pole. And then there's a little grabber on the end, and you use this kind of button to, open it and
Right.
close it. Yeah, and you pick up trash that way, and you put it in the bag. It's actually fun. It's kind of a fun thing to use. It makes picking up trash, actually fun. And it works really well. I was surprised the first time I used it because it has a little I don't know I don't know engineering, but there's a little plastic. It can't be plastic. Rubber. It's a little rubber end on
Right.
it, so it really grabs the little. If you're trying to get like cigarette butts or tiny little piece
Yeah.
of plastic, it grabs onto it, so it's very effective.
What's the weirdest thing you've picked up in your sort of garbage picking up journey so far? When I interviewed Marissa, I think the weirdest thing they said they picked up was a whole green car's bumper bar, if I'm not mistaken. So
Oh my god.
I don't think anyone threw that away. I think someone might have lost something. What's the weirdest thing you've picked up so far?
I think the weirdest thing was we went to Sunset Cliffs, and we actually ended up cleaning out. Or I'm sorry, you're not from San Diego, so not everyone knows. But it's by the beach. In Point Loma is a beach area, and there's a area called Sunset Cliffs, and it's literally cliffs overlooking the ocean. It's a really beautiful spot, but there's a lot of homeless people that live in the slot canyons there. So we were going in and we were being careful not to clean out where they're living, but just kind of the litter around where they're living. And so that was a really interesting experience. It's a real hike. And I think one of the things I picked up there was a Dare bag. I didn't even know Dare still existed. And I don't know what was in it, but it was
Well, what's there? Like chocolate?
no, Dare, like the drug. I forget what it stands for. The anti-drug organization. And I don't know what was in the bag, but it was just a Dare bag. So I was very curious to see what that was about. But I haven't picked up anything so weird. I do pick up a lot of masks, a lot of COVID masks all over the place, unfortunately. But yeah. It is kind of
Yeah.
interesting to see what you get.
Well, Marissa was saying that because I asked her the same question, and the weirdest thing, or the strangest thing she said she picked up, it was actually a letter. I don't know if you were with her when she picked up this letter, but it was a letter probably from a man who was writing to his estranged family to please let him come back. And Marissa found this letter, opened it. Obviously, it wasn't addressed to her, but she wanted to see what's in it. So it was a really like heartfelt letter, and obviously it hadn't been well received because it'd just been thrown out in the trash.
Yeah.
So, dear me. I mean, speaking of Marissa and Miss Earth, I mean, obviously the USA is doing something right with Miss Earth at the upcoming Nationals, which is in January, if you can believe it. It's not far away. It's actually
so close.
3 weeks. So let's just talk about the fact that you have a pageant in 3 weeks and you have a little thing called Christmas in the way. How is that going for you in terms of pageant prep and being able to eat healthily and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's kind of derailing the whole eating healthy process, to be honest. Luckily I was at kind of my goal weight and look and everything in September because I was competing in the Miss California USA pageant. So thankfully I put in all of that, those months of the worst part of that work before then. And so since then I've just been kind of maintaining, which is a lot easier, so it's like I can have the junk days and then I kind of eat healthy for a few days. And then as long as I'm continuing to go to the gym, it's okay. But thank God, because otherwise it would be very, very difficult to not eat all the cookies and everything that's around now.
What is your guilty pleasure when it comes to food? What's the one thing and you see it, you just have to eat it, can't resist it?
Bread.
Any particular sort of bread or just bread in general? I get that, by the way, as formerly being on a no carb, low carb, keto, whatever you want to call it, diet. And I don't know if you're near a Subway, but you go not the underground, but the restaurant, right? The restaurant.
I had Subway the other day.
Okay, and you smell. Did they do the same in the States where you just smell the bread? That fresh, and you're like,
it's the
following
Subway smell. The Subway smell is so good. I love it.
So what did you have? What did you have with your Subway order?
I had a spicy Italian sandwich, but usually I get the tuna. And I know the tuna isn't really tuna. I kept reading articles about that it's like chicken bits or something. It's not. I think they did a study on it and it's, marginally tuna.
It's not tuna, it's chicken? That's not even in the same ballpark.
I know, it's not tuna, whatever it is. It's like, 2% tuna or something like that. But I don't care. It tastes good.
What bread did you have it on? What are the bread options in America? This is a very weird start to the interview, but that's okay. Let's just go with it. So I think here we have white. We have something like honey oat. There's wheat or wholemeal or something. Yeah. What are the options for you guys?
Yeah, I think it's the same ones. It's the white honey oat, and there's a multi-grain.
Yeah.
And then I think there's like a cheesy bread too.
Okay.
For us Americans, yeah.
So that's your guilty pleasures. So how do you indulge a guilty pleasure of bread though? Like you go running around at midnight and you just eat a piece of. It's not like chocolate. You know what I mean? What happens?
Bread with. So my favorite thing is those warm restaurant rolls, and then you put a big, butter in there. Yeah, that's the one. But I also always have. So I'm part Italian, and so we always have bread with pretty much everything we eat, and then we always have olive oil with the bread, and so that's something that I regularly indulge in, especially because it's so easy. If you have a plate with sauce on it, the bread's used to mop up the sauce, and then you have extra bread, and then you just put an olive oil on there and just soak it in olive oil, and it's delicious.
Do you prefer? Here's a controversial question. Do you prefer butter with your bread or the olive oil?
That is a controversial question. It's very loaded.
Yes. Yes.
I think I prefer olive oil because that's usually how I eat it. But if I'm at, it depends, because if you have a good, like, fluffy, warm roll, you have to have
and the
butter
melts. That's what I mean. Like when you have like a bowl of soup or you're mopping something up and you have, I don't like the olive oil. It's much because the olive oil makes the bread soggy. I much prefer the butter on it. I mean, you mentioned that you this is your second pageant you competed in, and just from memory, I think I was looking through your Instagram. Was it the swimsuit section? You said you had a bit of a stumble.
Yes.
Right. So, and you wrote a post about it, which grabbed my attention because being honest about it, you know, most of the time there's pressure to always appear perfect. What happened just briefly and what did you learn from it? Because obviously you're moving on.
Right. So during the swimsuit portion, we had capes that we were wearing, you probably saw. And there was a little button that fastened it up here to keep it on. And my button broke on stage. So, and you know, it's not really a big deal, but as it was happening, I just freaked out because I thought, oh my God, it's going to fall off now. And it didn't, but, it just made me really tense and it kind of threw me off the whole rest of the time. And so that was, it really threw me off. Like I was very disappointed in that performance, specifically swimsuit, evening gown I was proud of, but, and I just remember walking off stage and just being so upset because, I spent so many months preparing for this and especially, with my walk and everything on stage and it was sort of this unexpected moment and I was just so disappointed in myself, but I did learn that, I kind of overcorrected, I guess. It's kind of like how, people do it in cars, you
Yeah.
see something on the road and I definitely felt like I did overcorrect. So I learned from that and thinking, and from watching other girls on stage and even the Miss Universe stage, that if you look closely, there's always tiny little mishaps that are happening. Dresses get caught on stage. They trip a little bit or something like that. And we don't really notice it because it's so minor. But I think, when you're performing in your mind, you're like, oh my God, everybody saw it. It's ruined,
Yep.
So yeah, but it was a good learning experience because it taught me next time if something happens like that, you just have to roll with it and you have to be calm. And if it falls off, it falls off and it might look good, like make it fall off and make it look cool. I don't know. So it did teach me a lot. And that was the first time I was actually in a pageant on the pageant stage. So it was especially, I think also because it was my first time, I was extra nervous and but I think, from that I learned if something happens, you just got to roll with it. And it's not the end of the world. You can always make it look purposeful somehow. So, yeah.
It's a good lesson for life. They often say even if you fall on stage, at least laugh about it and then pick yourself back up. As you mentioned, it was your first pageant. So Miss Earth USA come out with your second pageant. In your bio, you've written that you're 27 years old. Well, that you are, not that you've written and that you're not, but you are 27 years old. So in terms of coming into pageantry, at least in America, that's pretty late to the game, only because a lot of girls start when I've seen toddlers and tiaras, like 5. So what brought you to the game relatively late? Because if anyone hasn't read your bio, which is underneath this interview, by the way, it is intense. There is a lot of stuff going on there. So it's not like you had nothing else to do with your spare time. So what drew you to pageantry at a relatively late age?
That's a good question. So, I never considered pageantry in my younger years, but I was always very much into performance and art. I was classically trained ballerina my whole life up until college, and I did classical piano. So I loved performing, and I always thought that was something I was going to go into. I actually originally in college was a film major, and so I always thought I was going to go that direction. Yeah, and then I started working on little side projects in Hollywood, and I didn't enjoy it. The reality of the film industry and getting in your foot in the door is just so difficult. And so I have a lot of respect for people who continue to pursue it after that. But anyways, I figured realistically, I don't know if I want to do this. So then I switched gears and thought, okay, maybe I want to go into law. It was kind of a moment where I thought, maybe I can do that. I don't know. We'll see. And switched majors to political science and then, eventually went to law school. But as I was focusing on all of this, career building and academia and, it's a lot of work. It's really all encompassing. And I know there are some other girls who do pageants while they're in law school. Emma Loney, who you've interviewed, Miss
Yeah.
Oklahoma, she's currently in law school, and I have so much respect for her because I couldn't, I was working in law school and I was doing school, and that was already so difficult. So I can't imagine doing a pageant on the side. But anyway, so I was just, very focused on that aspect of my career. And then as COVID happened, I had a lot of time to sit and think. I was also happened to be studying for the bar during that time. So I had a lot of time to myself and to kind of evaluate what I was doing in my life. And, law school is coming to a close. Okay, I'm starting my career as a lawyer, but it's a little different. You show up to work every day and you do your best at work and things like that. But I had all of a sudden more time, to think about, okay, what else do I really want to do? And I think especially nearing 30, I had that realization too. I'm almost 30, my 20s are almost over. I need to, you can't pursue everything at every age. At least with the Miss, you can pursue other, divisions, but with Miss you can't. And anyway, I thought, I honestly don't remember exactly how I came across wanting to do a pageant exactly, but I think I was, seeing newscasters and looking them up or things, because that was something I also was interested in doing, with broadcast journalism at some point in my life. And I saw, a lot of them did pageants. Is there something to that? And I think it's just kind of their personality. They like to perform, and it's a similar skill set. Anyway, so I started looking into that, and I thought, maybe I'll try that. Let's see. I kind of wanted to just do something totally different from, wearing my glasses and having my nose in the books every second of the day. I mean, I literally was just a nerd for several years and nothing else. I mean, I really didn't think about anything else. Anyway, so I decided I'm going to try that and see if I can even do that. And, I started, and I kind of got pageant fever now. I really enjoy it. It's such a cool experience. It's so different from everything else. So, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a long-winded way to say that, but
No,
that's kind of how I got into it.
It's not long-winded at all. It's the details, which is what we want. What did you feel that pageantry, like, I mean, obviously you're still relatively new to it. What have you learned from it? What have you enjoyed the most? It almost sounds like part of the attraction for you was just that it was so different to, as you said, nose in the book sort of thing. It almost sounds like it's just, I needed to get away from that and do something completely different to it. Was that the main attraction of it?
That was part of it, but I think honestly, it's gonna sound weird, but it's that change of identity. So, when I was in school, I was so focused on, being this great student, and it's all about the product that you're putting out and nothing really about you as a person. And so I felt like I wasn't growing at all as a person. I was just, growing my brain and growing the information I stored up here and how I wrote it and all that. But there was no focus on you as the individual. And pageantry is all about focusing on you as individual in every aspect. It's how you present yourself, how you look, but also these different skill sets that you have, how you speak about those things. And it forces you to look inside and be very insightful. I mean, when I was practicing for interview questions, I was stumped at first because I really hadn't thought about, I hadn't thought about myself. I don't know, it's weird, but I really didn't think about, like, yeah, what do I really feel about, I know how I feel about, political issues or things like that, but
Yeah.
it's different when it's personal, and I just hadn't thought, my brain was not in that mindset for so long. And that's something that has been really fun too, because it's forced me to be very insightful again. I mean, I was always very insightful, growing up, but you get to be an adult and you focus on other things. But yeah, that was the big attraction, was it, in a way, it's kind of a coming of age situation. It's almost like, being a debutante or something. It's coming out and showing the world who you are and what you stand for. And in the process, you have to know who you are and who you stand for. And how you present that and how you appear to other people. I don't know, to me it's just fascinating, and it's a great way, I think, to really understand yourself in a way
Mm.
that is, you can communicate it to others as well, which is, I think, just as important. If you understand yourself and you have these great insights, then you should be able to share it with others in a way that, is productive. So all of that part of pageantry has been, honestly, it's so fun. It's just very rewarding.
What's the what are some of the things that you've maybe you mentioned insight? What are some of the insights you've had about yourself since starting pageantry? Because it sounds like maybe at the beginning it was more about, as you said, doing something or growing your brain. And it sounds like your pageant journey has forced you or encouraged you at least to be a bit more introspective and actually ask yourself, well, who am I? Why am I doing this? What are some of the insights you've had into yourself?
I think a lot of the insights I've had have been the why. So,
Mm.
I haven't changed what I like or why I like it, or all of that, but why am I pursuing law? Why am I pursuing pageantry? Why am I here? The why. So it's the deeper sort of meaning of why I'm doing it and why it matters to me, I guess. So, and I think all of that really comes down to just wanting to grow and actually wanting to spread awareness to different issues. I've always wanted to do that, and I've always was very involved in charity work and all
Mm.
throughout my life. But there's a difference between, doing it for yourself and actually doing it so other people can see and learn and be involved. So um, I think that's really the why, is being able to include the public, the greater world into your purpose and the things that you do to help others or to help the environment. Um, that's ultimately, why I'm doing this. And so, but yeah, that was something I learned through pageantry, because before, I
Mm.
don't know if I could tell you, I could say, I like doing charity work because it's fun and it makes me feel good. But, now I realize it's more than that. It's also that I want others to know about it. I want others to know about these causes. And, yeah, so it's more realizing how it's almost like full circle, of, I realized
Mm.
before, oh, I like this, I like doing it. And now it's, oh, and I can spread it to other people and it helps other people. And, oh, and we go back to, I like doing it. It's kind of this full circle moment, I
Yeah.
guess, if that makes sense.
You sound like you've gained a lot of wisdom throughout your relatively short pageant journey. Um, I want to ask, as I said, you do so many things, and I think it's fair to say we'll label you as accomplished, for want of a better word, and you've achieved a lot. I'm interested to know a little bit more, learn a little bit more about who you are behind the scenes, because what struck me was that you said you were a classically trained ballerina and a pianist, and that you were thinking about doing film, which is incredibly creative. Law is not seen by most as creative. Now, I know that from looking at law myself, that there are creative ways. There's creativity in any occupation. But what's the underlying common narrative between Kimberly, who wanted to do film, and now Kimberly, who's doing law? Who are you sort of behind the scenes, and what's that common thread that unites it all?
I'm glad that I figured this out before you asked it, because that took a lot. That took a lot of thinking. I have thought about that, and I realized the common thread is, and I don't know why this is, but I really enjoy telling stories. All of that is stories.
Ah,
Ballet is telling a
right.
story, piano is
Mhm.
telling a story in different forms, filmmaking is telling a story, and I was very much involved with documentary filmmaking. And then pageantry is telling a story too. It's telling my story, and law, you're advocating for your client, you're telling their story to the
Mm.
court. So it's really all telling stories. And I don't know what that means. I don't know why I enjoy that, or, but there's something maybe cathartic, and of course it's meaningful because you're able to um, give something to other people. You're able to tell their stories, and in doing that, help them and probably help other people with
Yeah.
what they're going through. But yeah, I don't know the why. Maybe you can tell me, but I've noticed that underlying it is really just this desire to tell stories, and my own and other people, mostly other people's. And
Yeah.
even with Miss Earth USA, it's telling my story and why I like to do it, but it's also it's advocating on behalf of the earth, telling the earth
Mm.
story, telling the story of why these things happen, what we can do to fix it. So it's kind of always focused on another person or another thing rather than just myself, outside of myself. I think that's a little more meaningful.
If you like telling stories, one thing maybe you should consider is being an interviewer. I mean, that's why I do what I do, is specifically because exactly as you said, helping someone else tell their story, giving a voice to the voiceless, or maybe even writing a book. But just on, does Miss Earth USA have a talent section? I know Miss Earth does. Does Miss Earth? I can't talk Miss Earth. Does Miss Earth USA have a talent section?
No, it doesn't. But you're right, Miss Earth does.
Okay, so just out of interest, if you were to win Miss Earth USA, and so you had to get a talent ready, and let's for argument's sake say hopefully it's in person, not virtual, what would you do for your talent section? I'm curious.
I joked with someone the other day that I would do an opening argument for a talent section. But I wouldn't.
Of course.
Obviously everyone would be bored to death, but maybe I could do like the OJ trial, if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. I don't know. No, but I think I would do singing. I know it's another thing, but I actually, so interesting fact is that my paternal side of my family, so my dad's father and then my own dad, are jazz musicians. So my grandfather's actually, yeah. So they're both not in that field. It's kind of a side thing, but my grandpa was very accomplished. He had bands and he made albums and he was always playing on the side. He played piano and then my dad played the saxophone. So I grew up in a big jazz family and I have been singing my whole life. And so I'd probably sing, to be honest. It's something I love to do. I never took lessons or anything, but I sing with my dad for his band. And we make our own little albums together. We're making a Christmas album now. Nobody sees it. It's just kind of for us. But I love singing. It's just something I haven't really show the world. It's kind of just a hobby I have. I'd probably sing because I think it's maybe the most it's probably more entertaining than watching me make an opening statement.
I don't do probably, but I mean, that all these shows, all these shows now have musical episodes. So maybe you could sing an opening argument. Maybe you could combine the two.
There's an idea.
If it goes horribly, by the way, you didn't get that idea from me. I'm not saying it's a good idea. It's just an idea. I was also going to ask, like, you're recording this album. Where can we buy it? Where can we listen to it? But it's just for your ears only. But your family, it seems like I don't know if I'm accurate at all, but it seems like you guys are very down to earth, sort of back to basics, good old fashioned wholesome values. Because I know that I was watching one of your other interviews where you're being asked about the fact that you're in Miss Earth USA, but your dad hunts, and it potentially is at a conflict. Whereas for me, I see it actually hunters are the people who know the best how to look after the earth. And I'm not saying like obviously you don't kill things and torture them for sport, but hunters live in harmony with the earth. It's mass farming and all that production that is in conflict with the earth. So I have no issue with that. But it seems like, jazz music is very wholesome. It's a very family sort of thing, collaborative. It is, you're always improvising. Your dad hunts. Like, am I wildly off base or does that seem accurate?
I think you're pretty accurate. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because, so my family, both my parents are from New Jersey. So I don't know what that says, but they're very normal people. They're both doctors, but they're they're not like, it's funny because I go to their parties and their doctor parties and be like, they're so different from them because they're just people, you know, they just live and they very down to earth and normal. Maybe it's a Jersey thing, I don't know. But yeah, and they both have so many hobbies. My mom is super artistic, probably where I get it from. Her dad was an amazing painter, so we have the arts in our family, but most of my family also are professionals. So my pharmacists, doctors, lawyers, business owners, and then nurses and things like that. So we kind of just, I don't know, we like to live an enriching life, you know. That's something my parents imparted in me, you know. It's get a good career, but they never pressured me to be successful or anything. I mean, you know, I was trying to pursue film and they were okay with that and they didn't mind it. So they're very much, you know, do what you want. Just, I remember my dad always told me when I was younger, pursue whatever you want to pursue, just be the best at it. And that's something that I take with me with everything that I do. I'm not a perfectionist by any means, but I like to try my best. I like to do my best. And if it doesn't work out, which so many things in my life don't work out, my life is an amalgamation of just failures, you know, and then everyone sees the successes, but really they didn't see like the 20,000 times that I failed at that same thing, right? So, but yeah, that's kind of what I do. And it's satisfying to me because I in a way, it's nice to fail sometimes because it's nice to feel bummed and feel sorry for yourself. And then you get back up and you learn from it. And then it's really satisfying to do better at it, you know, because you've grown in some way. So that's what I try to do with everything in my hobbies too, is just try to do it to the best of my ability.
So they say you always learn more from failure than you ever learned from success. So I'm 100% on board with that. You mentioned that both of your parents are from Jersey. Is it true what people say about people from Jersey?
What do they say about people from Jersey?
Thank you.
First of all.
No. Have you heard of Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yes. Oh, is he from Jersey?
Yeah, and he curses an awful lot.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing I know about Jersey is from Jersey Boys. I went to see the musical 2 or 3 times. But is it true that Jersey people like to curse quite a lot?
I guess my parents honestly don't curse that much. I don't know what it is, but I was always, now they do. Maybe it's because they're older and I'm older and they don't mind. But I guess they curse a lot. I'm trying to think of my other family members. They're just say it how it is. They're definitely less concerned with how they look, you know, and how they appear to other people. It's just all about being honest and also being loyal to your family and being loyal to your friends too. Those are some big values that they have. So very loud. When I visit my family, it's like, you know, I always think, at least here, I tend to be kind of loud or just kind of domineering when I'm in a room. But when I'm with them or I'm with anybody from the East Coast, it's like I'm a mouse. I feel so quiet. I feel like nobody is hearing me. So.
Well, I mean, if you've got the Italian heritage and, you know, the Jersey heritage, I think we can describe both of those as we've described as very passionate, right? It's very, very, very passionate. Do you have extended family gatherings? Because I got to imagine that would be quite something.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of passion.
That's one way to say it, passion. That's one word to describe it. Yeah, we all met for Thanksgiving this year in Florida, because they're all moving down to Florida now, as they do from the East Coast once they retire. So we were all in Florida. I think there was 20 of us in one house. So as you can imagine, that was insane. And we had my grandparents who were 93 and 94, I think now. So something like that. They're in their 90s.
Yeah.
And I was surprised how with it they were. You know, they have a hard time walking, but it's funny because it was my dad's side of the family, and my dad's dad is so funny. Like he's very witty,
Mm.
and I hadn't seen him for a while, so he would, I'd say something and then he'd kind of make a sarcastic comment, and I genuinely thought he didn't understand me, because I was like, oh, he's old, I'd be like, oh, and then he'd be like, no, like I was joking, and I was like, oh, you still got it, like you're way ahead of me,
Yep.
But it was a really fun time. Spending time with them is like a party. I have so much fun, which is kind of cool with your family. It feels like hanging out with a bunch of friends, honestly. They're so fun. But I think we were there for 4 days. After 4 days, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to have my alone time.
I think that sums it up. Just on the subject of family get-togethers, obviously we're coming up to Christmas in 12 days. What are your plans for Christmas? Bearing in mind, obviously, that 2 weeks or a week after that you've got a pageant. So what are your plans for Christmas? Yeah.
So yeah, I'm staying home. My parents are here in San Diego too, so I'm just gonna spend it with them. We usually have a big get together on Christmas Eve. One of my dad's cousins, and her family lives here, but since COVID, we haven't gotten together. Unfortunately, that was the best time on Christmas Eve. We all got together and we had Feast of the Seven Fishes. I don't know if you know, it's kind of an Italian American thing, but Christmas Eve you have 7 different types of seafood. They don't put cheese on. Never put cheese on your seafood. If you're at an Italian restaurant, don't do that. You'll get yelled at. But we usually have that for Christmas Eve, but we don't have it this year, so it's just going to be, very relaxed, laid back with my parents. But that's fine. I kind of need that. I've been so busy, so it's going to be nice.
Who puts cheese on seafood, and why?
Okay. Well, some people, but if you have pasta with fish or shrimp or something, you're tempted to put cheese on the pasta.
Creamy sauces, yes, not what, like, just because when I go to America, the thing that strikes me is you guys, your cheese section, and then there's cheeses in there that I've never seen, and I'm not game enough to try. Like, I'm sure some of them, if I turn the lights off, they'd be glowing in the dark. Like, you guys have some really bright fluoro orange cheese, and people are like, the kids are so excited about that. I'm like, that's not cheese. Like, what? That's mainly chalk. But who's putting cheese on seafood? That doesn't work.
If you have like pasta with butter or olive oil, and there's a little bit of fish in there or something, right? Because don't you want to spread some, like Parmesan, like grated cheese on your pasta?
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe a little bit of that. I thought you mean like you're getting slices of processed cheese and whacking them on like a fish. I'm like, whoa, that's just disgusting.
Never.
Okay. That was a detour.
I do enjoy Kraft mac and cheese, the fakest, orangiest cheese.
Oh God!
Kraft mac and cheese, I still love it.
I will tell you, as someone, as an environmentalist, and you'll be against plastics. You shouldn't want to eat that stuff, because I'm convinced it's mainly plastic. When you eat it, you're going to need someone to do a cleanup of your inside. That'll still be there in 10,000 years. I promise you. That stuff is that the stuff you put in the microwave? Like, it comes in a pack. Is that what it is?
I think you can, but I stovetop cook it. So it's like, it's literally powder. I mean, it's like, it's chemicals.
You're fancy. You do it right. You put it on the stovetop. You don't do it in the microwave.
Well, I stovetop cook it, so.
As an Italian, are you allowed to have Kraft mac and cheese? Let's be honest. Really?
Don't tell them. Just don't tell them I said that. It's our secret.
I interviewed an Italian, no, it's actually a Scottish girl whose parents run an Italian restaurant in Scotland. And she was saying that because they're into Italian food, they would even make their own fresh pasta. They gnocchi, as she was saying, she was telling me how to make it. And it sounded so nice, because I have a thing for pasta. Your weakness is bread. I think my weakness is pasta.
Yeah, that's number 2 for me.
Yeah. I never thought I'd hear the day when an Italian was telling me that she ate Kraft mac and cheese. You might to keep that on the down low. Some people might not be very happy with you on that. Yeah, exactly. So that's Christmas. Coming up to the pageant. How are you feeling about it? It's your second time round now. How are you feeling about it? How's prep going? All that stuff.
I'm feeling really excited about this one. I've I've been taking it very seriously, and I've been prepping since a couple months ago, and I'm excited. I mean, I still have a lot of work to do, of course, but it's been really a good process because I feel myself improving and kind of understanding what pageants are about more. When I started out, honestly, I was so confused. Like, I didn't really know what they were looking for. And I realized that I thought of it more as like an awards thing. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
Like, that was my mindset. Like, oh, look at me. I'm accomplished and I'm pretty. So give me my award, And I'm realizing absolutely not. It's a competition, So you kind of have to come in with the mindset that you're equal with everyone else. There's nobody is seeing you for being an amazing person yet. It's all about proving yourself in the process. And so that's been, I guess, the biggest realization for me. And it's helped me a lot in my prep because I'm able to see more, okay, what are they looking for? How do I, prepare myself so that I'm, presenting myself in the way that I'm supposed to, in the way that they like, and in the best way I can. So it's been a lot, but it's honestly been really fun. It's very rewarding because it kind of feels like it's almost like a sport, that you have to really train for. At least for me, none of these skills are natural. I think especially because I still consider myself a good public speaker, but even then, public speaking is very different in different contexts, and so this is a very specific type of public speaking, and you have to answer in a specific way, and there's kind of a structure in how you do it, and it's also extremely different from how you would present in court. It's all about facts.
Well, I would hope so. I would hope you're not going to go into your pageant interview and start dressing them down, but yes, it's very different.
But, so my brain is like wired towards that, that's how I'm used to presenting information to a panel of judges or a judge. And so, it's very different. Like we were saying before, it's so much more introspective. So now it's about me, and it's not just what are these issues and how are they, it's also, well, what do you think about these issues and how are they affecting you? What's your experience with that? So it forces you to really look inside of yourself. And, but that's been really nice. And honestly, I felt I've gained so much more genuine confidence, not just, okay, I'm putting on confidence because I'm public speaking and, you have to fake it till you make it. I really feel like in the process, I'm gaining real, true confidence in myself because, with pageants, it's not sharpening one or two skill sets. It's really about developing all of them, at once. Really, I mean, how you present yourself, how you speak, can you take a good picture, can you walk well? I mean, it's everything. And so if you're able to work on that and feel improvement and feel a little more confident in those things, I tend to feel more confident in myself too as a person and how I'm capable. And so it's been such a fun journey with the Miss Earth USA pageant. I think they do a great job too of encouraging that, I mean, it's not a pageant for anyone, not for the faint-hearted, but in a good way. I mean, it really is encouraging your work, and you really have to work hard, but it's rewarding work. So it's been really fun. So it's a lot of work to answer your question, but fun work, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
I was going to ask this all the way back, then I forgot to finish the question because we started talking about Subway bread, which was very important at the time to me, apparently. But obviously, yes, Marissa, Lindsay, and the US in general have done very well at Miss Earth Internationals. Do you have any theories? What would you call it in legalese? Is it theories, hypotheses, opening arguments, opening statements as to why you think maybe the US has done so well at Miss Earth recently?
Yeah, I mean, I can see just from my experience preparing for nationals, we have a great team of directors that are, I mean, they're really on top of everything. They give us so many different opportunities, and just the way it's run too. We have, just for example, the Think Global, Act Local project. It's mandatory, and it forces us to be not just put in the work and to, I mean, it's difficult because you can't just, it's not just, I pick a thing that I'm talking about, that I'm passionate about. It's also, I have to do something and recruit people and volunteers and get people involved. I mean, that's hard, that's definitely a skill. And,
Exactly.
and so, right. So it enables us to do that, and then really build on our platform in a real way, not just speaking about it and showing up with it, but, oh, look, I've really put in the work. Here's the work that I've done. And so I think that aspect of encouraging us, and I don't say forcing us, but making it mandatory that we do put in that work, I think really builds that confidence and that skill set, and builds the platform so that once we do get to Miss Earth USA, we already have those skills. And then, from there, competing for Miss Earth, we're really just building on what we already have, and so I don't know about the other countries, but I know for a fact that Miss Earth USA, it really prepares us for that crown, and for that title, and with like I said, think Global Black Local, but I think also our directors are so supportive of what we're doing, and they do a great job of posting our stuff online and being very efficient, and they've just been really great to work with too. And I think that's also a great important thing to remember, is that you're not just the competitors. We can't just feel that we're doing it and because we want to do it, but we also have to enjoy ourselves in the process, and want to speak and learn more about our competitors as well. And I've really felt like I've learned so much from the other girls, and I've loved learning about what they're doing, like really creative stuff for their platforms. So I really think a lot of the success is owed to how the Miss Earth USA, the whole nationals program, is run, and the requirements of us as delegates.
Yeah, I've interviewed your director, Laura Clark, probably for over a year ago. It's hard to remember with COVID. She has another system that she runs, the International Ms. system, and I interviewed one of her competitors, one of her contestants, one of her title holders, an American title holder, actually, Corinne Devon, and she spoke so highly of the director, which doesn't always happen. It's always like, I'd like to thank my director, but that's very different to going on like a 5-minute rant about how amazing your director is.
Yeah.
And I mean, you talk about lessons you learned in pageantry. I think one of the lessons I've learned is that, if your director is going to be your experience of the system. If the system is great, but your director is terrible, you're going to have a terrible experience. If the system maybe is not so big, but you have an amazing director, then basically, if you find a good director, stick with them. That's what I'm saying.
I totally agree. Yeah, Laura's done a great job too, because Miss Earth USA wasn't really on the radar for a while, and then during the past few years, it's really blown up. And that's really due to her, and that's due to her team too. I mean, and I don't know how they did that, but they really pulled together. So it's this, it's a big four, and it's huge, and people really respect Miss Earth US, and I see why, because of how they've run it, really. So a lot of credit is due to her and her team.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we go to the final 10 questions, Kimberly, I want to ask you, what are you drinking? Is it coffee or tea?
Coffee, of course.
Oh, good. Okay. Can't be friends if you're drinking tea. Not that I have anything against tea. How do you take your coffee? I'm scared to ask, because we were talking about cheese on seafood and Kraft mac and cheese. How do you take your coffee?
So it's 2 Splenda. It's always 2 Splenda. Black with 2 Splendas, that's it.
Okay, all right. That's not too
bad.
Is it?
Answer?
It's not for me to tell a lawyer how to take her coffee. What is it? Instant coffee? Is it like, I don't know? Like you Americans, you have all the sorts.
It's basically instant coffee. I mean, it's the Keurig. If you know the Keurig machines.
Which is that like the press, or is that the one you put on the stove top? Okay.
Yeah, it's the cups, and then you press it down. So it's essentially, I mean, it's ground coffee, but it's a step up from instant coffee.
Yes. It's a step up from anything is a step up from instant coffee. Okay. Yeah. All right. we all need our coffee to get through life, especially after the pandemic and now coming up to pageant season. Just before we go through the final 10 questions, anyone that you want to give a shout out to just for supporting you in your journey?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to, there's a few people. So Ralph Sambat, who I believe is involved with, Mr. Earth Crown. He's been really supportive, and I feel bad because I didn't see his message got buried on Facebook for a long time. Because, you know, as you can imagine, since Miss Earth USA, I just literally inundated with messages on Messenger, so I try not to check it as much. But anyways, he's been so supportive, and I think that's awesome that he does that, of me particularly. And then there's a few other people that I've seen pop up on my Facebook and my Instagram who are always, you know, I'm rooting for you. I actually don't know their names because they don't have their names on their profile, but you know, every single post, it's like they're really a fan, you know, and they're really rooting for. I really appreciate that. That's really awesome. And then I want to give a shout out to Marissa, to be honest, because she's been kind of an informal mentor to me during this process. You know, I started out helping her with her nonprofit, and you know, it's just been really nice to be able to observe, you know, how she works. And you know, I asked her about when she was preparing for Miss Earth, and she was readily, you know, telling me everything that she was doing, and you know, little bits of advice here and there. And honestly, like, I really appreciate that from her, because there was no, you know, she didn't have to. There was no need to sort of do that. You know, you never know if someone's gonna help you out or not. I mean, I tend to like doing that for people, but you never know. And she's really been really helpful in that regard. And so yeah, I want to give a shout out to her too. Always Marissa, our queen.
She's a good sort. I remember after the whole thing was done, Miss Earth, and obviously she came Miss Earth Air, and then we had this press conference. Miss Earth itself doesn't seem to be quite as well organized as Miss Earth USA. Like, Laura's super organized. Sometimes at Miss Earth, I got the call up for like, oh, would you like to be on the press conference for our winners? And it was like, I got 12 hours notice, and it was going to be at like midnight for me. I was like, oh, okay, all right. Because I wanted to ask Marissa a question selfishly, just to give her a chance to say some things. But, you know, Marissa, to give you an idea, because Marissa works so hard, similarly to yourself, I'm sure, and she's always on point, like with interviews and everything, super professional, always on time. You don't have to remind her or anything like that. And we were on those big Zoom call, you know, the Zoom calls where it's a mosaic and the tiles are like the size of like a matchbox. And I could see Marissa in the background. This is before we gone live, and I haven't told her this. She'd probably kill me. But she was yawning so much. You know that yawn when you look at someone and it looks like their jaw is going to dislocate? She must have been so tired, because I think it was the night after the whole thing had gone over. And then the press conference, I think for you guys, was like at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning. And I'm like, I don't think Marissa's had any sleep.
Oh, no, she didn't.
No, of course not. And then,
no, she was up that morning for her We Clean Trails. And then she was filming things for Miss Earth that day after that. And then it was the competition. And, you know, that goes, I forget how late that ended, but it was at nighttime. And then I'm sure she didn't sleep because, you know, it's exciting. And then I'm sure she was preparing for, you know, getting up early the next morning. I mean, I don't know how she did that. It was a lot. I mean, it was like a full 24 hours of,
Yeah, but I was like, okay, Marissa actually is tired. She is human after all, so she can't just she can't just keep going. I know she loves coffee as well, so we should really get a coffee sponsor for Pageant. What do you think?
I was just gonna say that. I think that's a good idea. Keurig, if you're listening.
No. Can we get better coffee? Actually, I don't know how good the coffee from that machine is, because we haven't had the coffee that you guys have. We have in America. We haven't had that for 20 years. You know that whole go to a diner and you just have endless pots of coffee? We haven't had that in Australia since before 2000. We gave that up so long ago. So when I go to America and you guys have your bottomless jugs of coffee, I'm like, what is this? Along with your orange cheese. But anyway, let's move to the end before I get cancelled by everyone in America for talking grief about your coffee. Okay,
the only reason I can't clap back at you is because I haven't been to Australia. But if I did go to Australia, I'd have some things to say probably.
You wouldn't have bad our coffee, except you were right. Those are the only three words, especially if you like black coffee. You see, the thing with a lot of people who have their coffee, it's like that much coffee and 98%,
cream.
I don't know, pumpkin spice latte. Yeah, cream. This one, right? It's like, where's the coffee in that? But if you are a coffee connoisseur, like me, a coffee snob, and you have your coffee black, you will be able to taste the difference. I promise you that much.
Oh, yeah.
So come to Australia to try our coffee. I'll take you on a coffee tour, not a wine tour.
Does it really
unless
have
you're into
good
that.
coffee grown in Australia?
It not so much that it's grown here, although we're starting that, but it's on par with I think the Italians in terms of the best coffee in the world. I mean, you would know how Italians think about coffee. Probably some of the best coffee in the world and some of the best wine in the world. The wine and the coffee. So it's everything you need to survive, basically. You don't need food. So wine and coffee. Absolutely have to try it. Now, I really wish I had a cup of coffee here, but I'll go get one after we wrap up.
Yeah.
All right. Kimberly, final 10 questions. It is not a speed round. It is completely random questions. Answer them as you will. Here we go. Number 1, what's your favorite word?
The first thing comes to mind is love.
What's your least favorite word?
Deadline.
Such a uni student thing to say. Someone who studied in tertiary, like in college. That's all right. Question 3. In life, what gets you excited or what turns you on?
Anything active.
What turns you off?
Waiting for a long time. I'm impatient.
I couldn't tell that at all. What sound or noise do you love?
Purring.
Oh, you're a cat person?
Yes.
Yeah. My brother brought over his little kitten, and it's so cute. It's like you can fit on your hand. And I was sitting down to eat, I think it was a bowl of pasta on that couch behind me, and the kitten jumped on my lap and then started climbing up my arm to get to the bowl so it could eat my food. And it was so cute, but I don't want to share my food with you. But it's so cute, but I don't want to eat cat.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's cute until they get older, and then it's not cute.
Oh, yeah. Anymore. Yeah, no, if my big cat had tried that, I would have given him a smack. Okay, so that sound that you love. What sound or noise do you hate?
Any scraping, like hard metal or something like a nails on a chalkboard type sounds. Hate that.
Okay. Question 7. If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
The ability to fly, because I'd be able to travel anywhere I wanted, anytime.
Sounds like a good one to me. Question 8. What job or occupation other than your own would you most like to attempt?
Broadcast journalism.
Very nice. What job would you definitely not like to attempt?
Manual labor jobs.
Says the person who goes around picking up trash. Okay. All right.
It's not a job, it's volunteer work.
That's true. Final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
That it all made sense. It all made sense to work for the greater good.
Very, very nice. Well, Kimberly, it's been a ride. We've talked about a lot of things. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Oh, I forgot one thing I have to ask you. So before we wrap up, so if you want to follow Kimberly on Instagram, you can see her handle there at Kim Keen Official. She is doing a lot of things that she's passionate about that we haven't actually talked about because we don't have 5 hours to talk about all the things. But if you read her bio, you can find out more about Kimberly. Final question, Kimberly, what is it with you and Facebook? how did you not have Facebook for so long? How did you manage that? You're not 5,000 years old unless, you just look really good for your age. How did you do this and why?
I don't know. I didn't really like social media a lot before going into pageants. Yeah,
Right.
so I had it a few times, and I would delete it and then get it again and delete it. And then it was something I kind of had to have for pageants, and then I've learned to, and then I've used it, and I now love it, but because I'm using it differently. Before I was using it because I was comparing myself to everyone else, and I didn't really like having people I didn't see for decades know about what I don't know, I just felt weird about that because I didn't know why. Like, why am I showing everybody what you know what I mean? I didn't get it. So then but now since I'm using it to further my platform and engage people more in what I'm doing, now I love it. But yeah, I didn't have it before. I think I was using it wrong. I think I was using it in a detrimental way, and now I'm using it in a positive way.
Okay, so do you have any plans to be a TikTok superstar then in the near future?
Probably not. But I do love TikTok. I have a little ghost account on TikTok, and I love scrolling. It's really fun.
It's the best place. If you like cats, it's the best place to see funny cat videos. I swear to God, the algorithm is pretty good. I might have spent like a couple of hours the other night just looking at funny cat videos because I am that person.
Exactly. I think about most of my timeline or whatever it's called is cats on TikTok.
Okay. Kimberly, I'll keep you on the line for just a second whilst I hang up with the audience. Thanks to everyone for watching, whether it's live or on the replay, and we will speak to you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Sorority Access is now open. So if you'd like to join an amazing group of women and learn how to be the most powerful, confident, and impactful queen possible, head to thepageantsorority.com. I'll see you there and see you in the next video.